It's your host, Hollie, and it's time for a little teaser talk. Before we jump into today's episode, quick roll call. Who's heading to Welcome to Rockville this year? If you guys see me running around doing interviews, come say hi. You guys have got to check this out.
Welcome to Rockville. Returns to Daytona International Speedway May 7th through 10th with Foo Fighters, My Chemical Romance, Guns N' Roses, and Bring Me the Horizon. Plus, Turnstile, Five Finger Death Punch, The Offspring, Breaking Benjamin, A Day to Remember, Godsmack, and so many more. Welcome to Rockville, May 7th through 10th. Passes on sale now for as low as $1 down at welcometorockville.com.
Pretty wicked lineup, am I right? I hope to see you there. Now let's get into today's episode. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Teaser Talk, the podcast where we go beyond the boring press questions and actually get into real stories behind the music. If you're new here, welcome to the chaos. If you guys have been rocking with us for a while, you already know the drill. We are all about real conversations with the artist you love. No fluff, no filter. Today's episode is a big one, and I am stoked about it. We're joined by Kirk Windstein, the founder, vocals, and guitarist of Crowbar, a band that didn't just help define sludge metal, but built a legacy on some of the heaviest, most emotionally raw music in the scene. And right now, Crowbar is having a serious moment. Over 1 million monthly listeners, massive streaming growth, sold out shows, and celebrating 25 years of sonic success. It's wild to see a band with that kind of history connect with a whole new generation of fans. So we're excited to get into it, the legacy, the resurgence, the music, and what's next. So Kirk, welcome to Teaser Talk.
Thanks so much. My pleasure.
Man, I appreciate you taking the time. I know there's a lot happening right now in the Crowbar world right now. So I want to just jump right into it. Crowbar has always had the unmistakable weight and groove. When you look back to when you guys first started versus now, what's the one thing about the sound that had to stay untouched with you guys?
Just the original idea of, because over the years we have brought a few new elements in, but nothing, too crazy.
Mhm.
But the basic idea in the beginning it's still what it is today. I just think we've gotten better at it over the years. I like to think so anyway. Is just to write, super heavy riffs with a lot of doom and a lot of guitar harmonies, a lot of groove. And whenever we go, we call it changing gears. Whenever we change gears to a faster part and pick it up, it's always like that hardcore speed. Like we don't do blast beats or anything too extreme on the fast parts. But and my goal has always been to be as heavy as possible, but still write great songs, just like Black Sabbath or something.
Absolutely. And it kind of ties into like the writing process, like you said too. So when you're creating, do you come at more from a riff first mindset, or is it more about capturing the feeling first?
It's always like if I come up with one, or anybody in the band for that matter, but I mean, I do most of the writing. But if I come up with one killer riff, I consider it okay. We have what we need, because the songs kind of write themselves from that point.
Yeah.
When it's time to do a key change or a harmony part, or pick it up or slow it down, depending on what kind of song it is. And then after the song is completely recorded, I start hearing like phrasing for the vocals, not so much lyrical, not so much like getting lyrical ideas, but hearing melodies and phrasing, like where the words are going to go and whatnot. So it really makes the whole the whole process has never changed really from the beginning. I just I
Yeah.
hope we've gotten better at it, but we wanted to stay true. Like that's what a lot of people are saying. Like, oh wow, y'all are getting so big, and of course, some of the long time diehards. I don't forget what they call them, gatekeepers or something now on social media.
Yep.
Where they want to be the only Crowbar fan, and I'm like,
Hmm.
well, at some point you probably were, because we didn't have that many, but we haven't changed anything. We just continue to do what we've done, and somehow, it's just a blessing all these years later, to
Yeah.
see how how many, young people and just in general, I mean, I think our biggest audience now is like the 24 to 35 type, uh,
Hmm.
age, but we get kids at the shows when allowed. I mean, like little kids, like 12,
Yeah.
and we still get some of the, I'm almost 61. We still get a few of them old timers like me, but I mean, I understand. I don't go to many shows at all anymore. It has to be something really special for me to go to, just because when I'm on tour, I'm seeing other bands and hearing other bands every day, and when I'm home, it's a whole different thing. It's life, So my wife
Yeah.
travels with me. Robin, is our tour manager and does merch. So we travel together, but we still have four dogs in a house, and kids in the whole 9 yards. So when we're home, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah, I totally can see that. And I think whenever it's interesting to see bands like Crowbar who have been there for years and years, it's almost generational though too. Like those people who were kids at once tuning in for the first time, the OGs, the gatekeepers, they start having families and building families. So it's like a generational, type of thing. It's interesting because Crowbar helped, I would say, help define sludge metal. How do you feel about the newer bands carrying that torch today?
I mean, I think it's fantastic. I mean, they could. I met a kid. I was coming out of Guitar Center the other day, just running errands and things. And I was coming out of Guitar Center, and a young kid looked like. I mean, everybody's a kid to me these days, but he looked like he was probably like 17, 18 years old or something. And he came up to me and he said, I know who you are. He said, I didn't want to bother you in the guitar shop. He said, but he goes, he said, I got a band and y'all are pretty much our biggest influence. And I said, oh, that's fantastic. So he asked for a couple of pictures. So I took some pictures with him in the parking lot and just told him, good luck with your music career, man. I hope everything takes off for you, but it's a great, it's humbling, and it's just a great feeling.
That's awesome. And like, running into people like that, of course, in this digital age that we live in, a lot of the discovery now happens online. Are you paying attention to platforms like TikTok and social media, or are you just letting the music do its thing?
I mean, both. I mean, the thing is, like when I was young, everything was word of mouth. Like I basically grew up in the '70s. I graduated high school in 1983. But I'd hear like my friends' older brothers and sisters like talking about bands, like, oh, we went to go see so and so, and they had this band opening up, and they were killer. I mean, I got a guy I knew who went to go see someone like Montrose or something like that, and it was his favorite band, and Van Halen were opening up on their first tour, and he'd never heard of them, didn't know who they were or anything. They came out, played for 30 minutes. He said, dude, I literally left, drove straight home to the record store and picked up the Van Halen album, and I was just like totally changed forever.
Wow. That's
So, nowadays to me the social media is word of mouth. I mean,
mhm.
kids go to school, hey man, look what I saw last night on the phone, they're talking about the band, all music and stuff. The kids who are music fans, it really is that's your advertisement now. I mean, the record companies don't really do anything because all they can really do is push on social media. I mean, people don't buy records at the record store anymore, and they can do things to help out with the tour, like put up posters and stuff like this, but get you interviews and whatnot. But I mean, they really can't. Everything's changed so much that really, like to me nowadays, having a great social media presence is like having a great major label deal, 40
Mhm.
years ago, and yet where your label's promoting you and you're out on tour with bigger bands and all that, So for me, it's really the same thing. So, we kind of let the music do it for us, but of course, we try to take advantage of the as things move up, we try to take advantage of that on with social media and promote ourselves as much as possible.
Absolutely. And, I think to me, of course, I'm on the flip side, with podcasting and media. But to me, I feel like social media, it's not a replacement. Like, everyone knows there's a huge difference of watching a show on YouTube versus catching a show live. It's almost like an amplification of or a means to reach more people to drive them hopefully where they can catch you guys, which I know you guys are about to go on tour in a couple of days, so we'll talk about that here in a second. But I'm curious cuz you've seen the industry change completely over the years. What's one change where things are today that you actually like?
Um, I can't really pinpoint one thing. I would just say uh, it's easier for me to say what didn't change is when I see young kids at the show. I picture myself at that same age, and they're still, in this new age of everybody would know. Attention span, all these kinds of things. It's great to still see the like when I see the kids out there, I'm like, that's me. The
Yeah.
passion for the music is there. They're singing the lyrics. They're screaming. They're having a great time. Yeah, no. See, at least that hasn't changed. Now if that was gone, we'd all be out of work.
Yeah,
I saw an interview
100%.
with James Hetfield the other day on Instagram or something, and he was talking about. They were talking about, well, how do you still? He said, all I got to do when I get out there is he goes, I found one person up front, and I lock eyes with them, and I sing, and I see them singing back and all, and he's like, then I'm just full of like, wow, what a great feeling this is. He goes, I got the best seat in the house. I'm up there doing it. It's like, I mean, everybody I've met from bands all over the years, since the get go, especially older guys. We did a tour with Suicidal Tendencies, and Mike Muir, the singer, and asked me, he goes, you still having fun out there, huh? And I said, absolutely, man. And he said, look, man, at my age, he said, if it wasn't fun, he goes, I wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with me. I mean, finally we're starting to make some money, but in reality, I've done it my whole life because it's what I love to do.
100%. And I think that that's a big driver too when it comes to artists like yourselves who have stayed relevant, stayed within the music industry for so long. It's that pure passion that still has you with the desire to show up. And I think it's just so cool too, because obviously you're not just seeing it online, you're seeing it on the road too with sold out shows or near sold out shows. You guys are about to hit a tour with I Hate God. Do you want to kind of share about that and what fans can expect on this tour?
Yeah, I mean, we did part one of the Crowbar I got, like, it's a co-headlining tour.
Hmm.
Um, and we did that back in August because we had been talking about it for a long time. We actually, I got went on tour with Soulfly. I think this was, yeah, it was like October, November of 2024. So toward the end of the year. And we played on two of the shows. We played in Houston and we played in San Antonio with them. And we had already toured with Soulfly back in 2015 and, got along with them great. They treated us great, great band and great people. But, so I was talking after the second show with I God, I went in their dressing room. I was talking to Mike Nine, the vocalist, and Gary Mader, the bass player, and I said, "Man, we really need to just do a fucking tour together." And they were like, "Absolutely." I said, "Look, we've all known each other forever. Let's just split it 50-50 and we'll flip flop here and there. Nobody cares. Actually, at everybody's ages now, we actually want to be the first band, you know, of the two, because you go on earlier, you go on an hour and a half earlier or something. So it's kind of like, there's no egos. It's like, look, we'll split money 50-50. It's a no-brainer. We have a lot of the same audience, even though the bands are very similar in a lot of ways. They're also very different in a lot of ways. Like,
Hmm.
we're a lot more metal and hardcore, where to me, I Hate God is much more like punk blues, just dirty, raw
Yeah.
punk blues stuff, because all the rest are mainly blues driven, where ours are much more metal driven. But at the same time, the combination is great. I mean, we have a lot of the same fans uh, in common, and then the ones who say you're an I God fan and you come and you know about Crowbar, but you're not really, well, we're winning over some of those and vice versa. We'll have Crowbar fans are now, liking I Hate God. So it's just too simple not to do. And, we're definitely going to do a part 3 at some point too.
I love it. A question for you is, do fans still surprise you with which songs hit them the hardest live?
Yes, because the craziest thing about the whole thing, man, is it's like songs that we never played live, songs that I forgot we even had because they're so old, are the ones that the kids love.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so we picked them up, we do them, we do like Repulsive and Splendid Beauty, which I thought was a great song. The second, I wrote it and we recorded it, but that was 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much like the hit song now. I'm like, this is crazy. They love Embracing Emptiness off of the Time Heals Nothing record. They love Planets Collide off of Odd Fellows. They really love And Suffer as One off of Odd Fellows Rest. So of course you got to give the fans what they want. But the thing is, we play those songs now, and the fans are really, you feed off of their energy. And when we break into those songs, the whole crowd erupts, and it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So, love you, babe.
Yep.
But hang on 1 second, Holly. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Just 1
No,
second.
you're good.
I love you, darling. Get whatever you need. Rock out. So see you soon. I'm sitting up here because it's insulated really good. Gary can bang on the door for an hour and I won't hear it. So I'm knocking out these interviews. Yeah, man. I'm sorry, Hal. I call you man. That's just a habit.
You're totally good. You let me
Yeah,
know
I'm done.
whenever you're good.
I am ready. That was actually
Awesome.
I Hate God's manager and my
Nice.
wife leaving. So,
Aw.
you know,
Very cool. And
yeah.
it's so cool to see that, with your spouse being heavily involved in it too. Like, what would be some advice, would you say, for a fellow musician to their spouse or their partners also involved? What's some things that kind of keep that to where business is business and personal is personal?
Well, I mean, really, there's so much of it, like, I mean, with Down, Philip and Selma's wife, Kate, um, she's our tour manager in the US and really like Phil's assistant, in Europe, and she kind of assistant tour managers in Europe. But, it's like they enjoy working together. And like he said, he goes, dude, when it's work, it's work. When we have a day off, he goes, she's always my wife, but when it's work,
Yeah.
she's got to do her job. I've got to do my job. And that's how we feel as well. And then, when there's an off day or something, you get to actually spend a little time alone or something, even if it's
Yeah.
just go and have lunch, and stuff that you're too rushed to do on the on the show days. Like, and but it works out great. I mean, speaking of Soulfly, since I mentioned them earlier, the way they have, they really do it better than anybody because it's Max and his wife Gloria and their kids. Their kid, the drummer for the band Zion, is their son. He's a monster drummer. Richie, who also plays in Insight, is vocalist for Insight. Richie does merchandise. So it's like they've got kids out with him as well.
Yeah.
So it's like when Gloria calls it the fans, the tribe, and it's like the whole, family. It's half of the bus are Carolaras.
Mhm.
So it's great. It's a great thing. If you can make it work, because I have so many friends that that are just kind of like, they do their own thing on the weekend with the guys and things like that and all. And we're just not like that. I love you too, beautiful. Okay, mama. Yeah, Robin. I know, baby. Yeah, Robin's leaving now there. But and a lot of the guys are just kind of like, they need to go off and do things on their own. I'm like, Robin and I were never like that. We've always done everything together, even prior to her working with the band. We're one of those couples that runs errands all day together, goes grocery shopping together. I mean, she's taking off right now and got some girl stuff to do, I guess, hair and this and that or whatever. But and run around and do a little last minute shopping before we leave. But for us it just works out perfect because she really just blends in. She's my wife, but she's one of the guys as well. She's a huge music fan and we've known each other for about 40 years, even though we've only officially been, like a couple and married for 13 years. But, we've known each other our whole lives and we'd see each other at concerts and stuff when we were young.
That's incredible. And you say only 13 years, like that's impressive. So congratulations on you guys both. That's
Thank you.
amazing.
Well, we both said, like, our story is it's probably I hear more and more people that it's a little more common as like later in life. We've both been married, several times before. She's got 2 children, 2 grandchildren. I have one daughter from a previous marriage, and it's like, we always liked each other, and we go on little casual dates and things and fool around and whatnot, back when we were young, but nothing, it was never serious. We never tried to have a relationship. We just really always liked each other's company and we liked each other. So, when we had the opportunity, it came together like super quick. I mean, within 2 weeks tops, and I was like, we were already talking about getting married. And she goes, Kirk, I don't want to grow old alone. I said, me either. you know. And I said, let's. I mean, I had zero hesitation. It took a long time, and a lot of trial and error out through other relationships and whatnot to find Robin. But sure, baby, thank you. To find Robin, but it was definitely worth the wait. And like we always kid with each other, but it's probably the truth. If we would, I wish would have gotten together when we were younger, but I guess it wasn't meant to be, or it may have not worked. We got together at the perfect time, and and it's all good. It's been nothing but wonderful.
I love hearing that. You're giving me hope for all of us who are still single in our later years.
See, I couldn't, and the thing is if it wasn't Robin, I probably would be single.
Yeah.
But now when I think about it, I kind of think I would be lonely. I really do. You
Yeah.
know.
Well, that's an incredible love story. And I love to hear that. Super inspiring to hear. One thing I did want to touch base with you on before we hop off, because I know you are a busy man, especially you guys are getting ready for tour. You guys are celebrating a big milestone in August of this year, which Sonic Excess is turning 25, which is huge. When you revisit that record now, do you hear it the same way you did back then, or does it feel like a completely different chapter of your life?
It feels like a completely different chapter
Mhm.
of my life. But because I still haven't listened to it in its entirety, like, but I'll be like, what song is that? Like I hear something in the background on some, Instagram thing or some TikTok thing or something. And I'll have to literally look up the song. Like I'm listening to songs and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about this part. Oh, I forgot this riff. Oh, this is killer. So, I mean, like I tell people, I'm not like, one of those. I mean, I don't know anybody. I mean, look, when you're young and you make your first demo tapes and things like that, or maybe your first ever album, you want to play it for all your friends and you might listen to it. But I'm the kind of guy where when it's mixed and mastered, I'll listen to it for about 2 weeks, like about 100 times, and it just goes into the library, of everything else. It goes into my music collection, and that's it. That's a wrap. I figure out which songs we're gonna play live. We rehearse them. I relearn them, or we rehearse them, and we know them. So there's plenty of great songs that I found going back and listening to. That I haven't touched since that particular record came out, regardless of what record it is.
Absolutely. That's incredible to see. I can only imagine like the archive that's in your brain of music that you've partaken in. All right, Kirk. Well, before we let you go, as you know, this is teaser talk. So we always like to leave fans with a little something, a little teaser, if you will, to be on the lookout for. What can fans expect next from Crowbar?
We have a pretty big North American tour coming up in September and October with Dying Fetus and a couple of other bands. So, here in the States, after this tour, we're done till then. We have some stuff in Europe to do, and I have some stuff with Down in Europe and in the US over the summer and whatnot. But I'm going into the fall with Down. So, with Crowbar also that to look out for if you're a Crowbar fan, and hopefully you're a Down fan as well. The new Down record is completely recorded. It's not finished being mixed. We're trying to get all that stuff done, but it should be out, this fall for sure. So, but for Crowbar, we have the tour with Dying Fetus coming up, and we're anxious to get to work on some new music, but things are going really well right now, and things keep popping up, like offers that we're like, well, let's just keep it rolling. I mean, it's still building and building. We're looking at Spotify, it's up to like 1.2 million monthly listeners, and it's Instagram, and especially the TikTok is growing. It's almost a thousand more followers a day. Close to it, like 700 to 1,000 a day going on. So it's crazy, but yeah, we're just maybe take a little bit of a break next year to concentrate on recording and writing, because it's been a while, and the touring as you get older gets a little tougher. But all in all, everything's wonderful and great. So I just appreciate all the fans. So keep looking at your socials for upcoming dates and tours. I think we're gonna announce this Dying Fetus thing relatively soon. And we're looking forward to it. It's going to be great. But this tour, we start Thursday night in Baton Rouge. I think about 25 of the 30 shows are sold out. So pretty much they will all be sold out, or very close to it. Maybe one or two like small markets that are just kind of in the middle of nowhere. But other than that, we fully expect all of them to really be sold out, which is amazing. So huge shout out to all the fans, Crowbar and I got fans for buying the tickets and doing their job.
Hell yeah. I love that. Well, Kirk, seriously, thank you so much for taking the time to come on Teaser Talk. It's been awesome getting to dig into everything you guys have going on and hearing your stories. And for everyone listening in, if you're not already tapped in, go stream Crowbar, go grab those tickets if they're coming anywhere near you, and grab them fast because they are going sold out. And keep an eye out for all the cool things that they have going on coming next.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Teaser Talk. Head over to teasertalk.com to subscribe so you don't miss out on another episode. Until next week, keep rocking.